Alright, what's going on everybody? Thank you for joining me again today here at Digital Renovations. Today we are going to be taking a look at how to build a web scraper. So how can we take information straight off a web page and actually process that and use it within our applications. So to do that, we're going to be using a library called BeautifulSoup. Which is interestingly named. We're going to go pip install BeautifulSoup 4. It's got to have the latest and greatest version of it. Now, on my side, we are already installed with that. I'm also just mindful that in my new Linux environment, full on nerd mode, and everything's not the right size for video. So I've made it a bit bigger. Hopefully that's a bit easier to see. Now, next thing we want to do, we've got BeautifulSoup. Next, we want to do requests. So we'll go pip install requests. Now, once again, already installed on my end, so we're good to go. For you, it's going to run through a little installer and get those set up for you. Now, in terms of the actual code that we want to do, let's start with how we actually access a website. So for that, we're going to have our requests up and running. So we're going to import requests. We're going to have a request r equals requests.get, and then we're going to put in the domain we want to access, the website we want to access. So big fan of Reddit. By the time we get to the end of this, we're probably going to start seeing that there's some issues in terms of Reddit going, hey, you know, you've accessed us a lot of times. If that's the case, we'll look at what the actual issue is there and how we can better understand it. And we can chat a little bit about web scraping if and when that happens. So for now, we're just worried about what we want to access. So let's type in https://www.reddit.com/r/ we'll go funny. We want to pull in the things from funny. And then we've got that information, what we want to do with it. First up, let's print out what we're going to call a status code. Go r.status_code. Now what we want to see is a 200. 200 means, hey, everything has worked just as you would have liked it to. So we're going to go over here, we're going to type in, so we're already in our projects folder where this is saved. So we'll type in Python, we'll attempt to type in Python webscraper.py, hit enter, 200, bang on, exactly what we wanted to hear. In order to celebrate, click the subscribe button. Once you've done that, then we're going to move on. So we know what our status code is. So we might just leave that there, but we're also, everything else we do now, we're going to want to assume that we've gotten the right response. So put it in a bit of conditional logic where if r.statuscode is equal to 200, print r.text. So print out what the response was. Hit that again. Oh, boom, a giant wall full of code. So if we can go all the way to the top, let's see if there's so much here that it stops us going all the way to the top. Scroll and 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 scroll. There is a lot of code that sits behind Reddit. Look, stuff it. At the very top of that, we're going to say that we got another 200 code. We know that we got a 200 code because we can see the website code that's come back. And congratulations, you've just successfully pulled the code from the Reddit front end down and you can see it. And that's like handy. Doesn't really do much for us. So rather than just treating it as text, why don't we treat it as actual HTML, the code that it's written in. So we're going to bring in Beautiful Soup at this point. So we're going to say from BS for Beautiful Soup 4, import Beautiful Soup. And now we have our Beautiful Soup. We are going to say if the status code is 200, we want soup to be equal to Beautiful Soup. And we're going to feed into that r.text, and we're going to tell it to use the HTML parser. What that's going to do is it's going to take it in and interpret it within the world of Beautiful Soup and consider it as HTML. So when it looks over it, it parses it, it's going to go, okay, cool, this is HTML, and I'm going to treat it as such. Then what we're going to do, we're going to go print still, and we're going to put in our soup. I'm going to say soup, prettify. And what that's going to do is it's going to use one of the built-in functions within Beautiful Soup to say, hey, rather than looking like a mess here, format it, because I know what HTML looks like. We hit enter, and boom, we have a wall of code. But if you look at it now, it's not sort of strewn all across the page. It's indented nicely. It's easy to see. If I drag this out, it's actually just going to look like if we go to Reddit and look at the source code for the page. Because now it knows, cool, this is HTML. So if we go, hang on, why don't we open up Reddit? Why don't we actually take a look at it? All right, if we go in here and we go view page source, this is exactly what we're pulling in. So you can see there's a lot of different elements here that exist within the code. Each one of them means something. It's a deeper meaning. What we're going to want to look for is, because I cheated and did this ahead of time, full dash link, maybe? Full post dash link. There we go. And this is within the article, so we can see boyfriend made an unexpected friend in the woods this weekend. Boyfriend made an unexpected friend in the woods this weekend. Perfect. So we can see that this article relates directly to that. Now we can see there's a whole lot of details here about how to find it. But if I want to just grab this link here, so that we can actually just have a list of the links that are on the page. Let's work towards that as our goal. So we know that this variable exists here. Now, slot equals full post link. Let's jump back to our code. Within here, I mean, this is cool, but it's very verbose. We don't need this level of detail. So let's jump in here, and what we want to do is we want to find the links to the different posts that are on that page. So we'll go links, soup.find underscore all. So in our soup that we've gotten back, our HTML parsed, we know it's HTML. We're going to look for A tags, anchor tags, because that's what we were looking at before within our article. We want to find A tags that have a slot parameter or attribute, and that attribute is equal to full dash post dash link. And then we want to print len links. And what that's going to do is it's going to grab a whole array of every time there is an anchor tag with this, because there should be a few of those available to us, right? We want to know how many of those we can see. Save that. We'll run this again. That's looking through everything. We've got our 200 response, and we can see that there are 3 links available to us. And you might be thinking to yourself, hey, that's dumb. There's way more links than that on Reddit, right? There's no way it's just 3, and that's true. But it's because Reddit uses a system called lazy loading, which means when the page first loads, it only loads the first 3 things. And then as you scroll, it goes, oh, hey, you want to see more stuff? More stuff? and it will actually start bringing in more content. So because we're just hitting this web page once, we don't have a concept of scrolling. You can build that. But for our purpose here, just getting started, all it's going to load is 3 links for us. So we now know that there's 3 links there. And we're going to have a look at what those links are. So for link in links, so for each individual link within that array of links, we want to print link.get href. So within our source code, what that's going to look like is, okay, we want to find anything that's got an anchor tag here, slot, full post link, and we want to grab this, the href, the link to that specific post. So now if we jump back in here, we'll save that, let's run it. Let's see if we've reached our limit of calls that we can make yet. We're still getting a 200 and we're getting each individual link coming in. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. So that covers the basics of how to pull bits of a page through using BeautifulSoup. But if you want to get a bit more, so this is only the first 3 things. Reddit will actually let you not just view its web page, but it has something called an RSS feed, which has more details available, or at least more links available. So if we change this out to reddit.rss, we know we've got a status code, that's cool, and we'll check the status code still, that's cool. We'll parse it. Now technically, this RSS feed is written in XML, not HTML. Instead of hypertext markup language, it's extensible markup language. But like, it's gonna look pretty similar. And I don't want us to stress out about that. So there is a way of doing this. It's more detailed. Let's leave it as HTML. Let's see what happens. So instead of finding all A's with a slot, we don't need that. We want to find all the entries within the RSS feed. Once again, I cheated. Actually, we don't want that. We want reddit.com/r/funny.rss. Yeah, perfect. I know that there's entry tags in there. So that's what we're going to be looking for. So in the same way that we had A tags before within the RSS, we're going to have something called an entry tag. So this looks horrendous. But if we go in here, we search our way across, let's just find, we'll see that there are entries. And it's got the person's name, links, all sorts of stuff, a little bit hard to read. So let's not worry about looking at it in the browser, let's look at it in here. Now we're looking for entries, so let's make this a bit more logical for us. So now we want to look at, let's change this to entries, or entry in entries, because it's always good to use meaningful variable names. And instead of printing off a bit of a link, let's just print the entry. Cool. All right, a few rapid fire changes there. Let's run it and see what happens. All right, 429. That's replacing our 200. So we're sort of at the limit of what we're going to be seeing here coming back. I could cut this off, film again tomorrow. Reddit has something called rate limiting for making calls to the server. And it's essentially gone, hey, you've reached out a few times now in a bit of a weird way. I don't like that. And so instead of coming back with a nice 200, everything's okay, it's come back with 429, hey, that's enough for now. So what we would see is a list of entries coming back with that. And then if we wanted more detail, we could put like entry.select title or link. And as we said before, when we were in the browser. When we searched for entry, there was 52 different entries that were there, which is a lot more than our 3 that we were getting from the web page. So from an RSS perspective, you will get more values, or you can look at building onto this, and there are ways of engaging with the website in a similar way to what a browser would, which will result in you being able to use the lazy loading and keep building and go through pages and interact with the website. For our purposes here though, I feel like this has gotten us started. I feel like this is a good intro to how to do a web scraper and a good demonstration of some of the issues that come on, because essentially we're writing an application here that's pretending it's a web browser going onto the website and accessing it. Now, some companies, they're not okay with that. They have strict rules around it that are like, no, you cannot do this. Some are just like, hey, yeah, cool, you can do it, but, you know, let's be sensible here. And this is the let's be sensible here response. You've tried to do this too many times, and now we're done, which is why I've left in print status code, because when I was originally working through writing this out, I knew this problem would come up at some point, but didn't know when. And I forgot to leave that line in there, and it was coming back with nothing, and I was so confused until I uncommented this line. I was like, oh, computer says no. That's what's going on here. So, look, it's been a wild ride. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've learned something. If you have, click the like button. If you've got any questions, drop them down in the comments down below. Hit that subscribe button and the bell icon if you want to keep up to date with what's going on. And until next time, have a good one.